Please.
You can start.
Very good evening, delegates. Welcome to today's meeting on accounting standards for local bodies. We have with us Dr. R.S. Murali, who is the resource person for today. On behalf of Office of SIRC ICAI and the Chairman Panara sir, we welcome you, sir, for today's program. We have got with us the first person of SIRC Chairman from Bellary CA Panara Shirigeri. We welcome you, sir. We will start today's proceedings with the invocation of ICAI motto song.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति पुरुषो निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रम् तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you. May I now request CAS Panaraj to deliver his welcome address.
Good evening, all the delegates and the esteemed speaker, Dr. Murali R.S. sir. A warm welcome to you. And I welcome all of you to this one and only program on the accounting standards for urban local bodies. The urban local bodies alone are maintaining the accounts and the double-entry system of accounting, and hence the accounting standards are applicable to it. Panchayat Raj institutions are still following cash system of accounting, so it is invariably when we talk of local bodies accounting standards, it invariably means that it is for urban local bodies. There is a big history for this. I don't want to go into the details of it. I request Dr. Murali sir to do a brief introduction before he takes off from the IPSAS time and the efforts that he has been making as a lead in trying to adopt the accounting standards for the Indian local bodies. And there is a big gap between the IPSAS and the situation in India, and he would also touch upon it before going to the technicalities of the accounting standards. Now coming to the activities of Southern India Regional Council, as chairman, I am very rarely participating in these conferences, online conferences, because of the heavy pressure of work and engagements. Under these circumstances, maybe you would not have come to know of the agenda for this year 23-24. Of course, I've already completed 4 months in my office. Only 8 months were left for me to do whatever agenda I have. So the very objective for this year is inclusive growth. So this inclusive growth made me to include this topic also into the fold today. So inclusive growth means normally you can see the country's growth is measured only in terms of the gross domestic produce alone is not the measure of development of a nation. So it is only a means of measurement, but not an end in itself to measure the development of a country, because the equitable distribution of the resources and the wealth and income to all the segments of the society is failing in the present system of growth obsessed economies. So that is where we have to concentrate to see that all segments of the society are taken part, are taken, embraced into the fold of growth, so that the equity and justice is achieved. So in this direction, role of the small and medium practitioners and the entities, small entities are very, very important. So in our agenda for this year, we have main agenda as widening the practice areas for small and medium practitioners uh, through MSMEs and other areas like municipal and other audits and government audits like that. So MSMEs, to be specific, it contributes to 30% of the GDP of our country, and 50% of the exports are done through MSMEs, and more than 50% of the employment also is provided by MSMEs, excluding the agriculture sector employment. So this being the case, the MSME segment definitely is another backbone immediately after agriculture sector for any country to grow. So this 27th of June is declared by UN as International MSME Day. So to commemorate that, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India is conducting a big program on startups at the Geo Center in Mumbai on 27, 28, 29. I request the interested members or your clients or known people to get registered and attend at Mumbai. And number one. Number two, to commemorate the same thing at SIRC level, we at Chennai are doing a program called MSME Conclave, bringing in all the constituents that are involved, all the entities that are involved in MSME segment, the government departments, what are the state government incentives, what are the union government incentives, and the bankers, what are the schemes they have to give to us, and the agencies which provide the technical support for manufacturing the activities, that is called CFTRI, such things, and also NSIC, National Small Industries Corporation, wherein they support the propagation of your material, including artisanal raw material and bank CC and all. So this whole segment, this area is very special for small and medium practitioners, because we small and medium practitioners are having only MSMEs as our clientele. So I request the small and medium practitioners to register in good numbers at Chennai on 24th and 25th. The links are also will be provided by Mr. Rahman at the end of the program or during the break. Sorry, we are in almost 3 hours. And we might require a break in between. During that break, he will share the link for you to register. So please register yourself and get to know the schemes. Most of the members are very busy in GST, project finance, and the income tax matters. But the automation is taking over all the compliance practices. So it is time that we enter into the new areas or widen our practice areas to survive in practice and prosper in the practice. So this is one important area I wanted to tell you. And another important segment, apart from widening the practice areas for widening the professional opportunities for small and medium practitioners through MSMEs, another important area is catching up with the technology. Through technology, you can reach, even your services can be sold abroad also. So to upskill the members, on this 15th and 16th of this month, we conducted a 2 days workshop for developing faculty from each branch. We invited those members who are relatively good, are working, we have relatively working knowledge on the technology, and they were trained for 2 days, and the training will be continued. What is left out for some more days, they would come back to the branches and equip, upskill the members there to see that technology used widely into the this new the practice areas, so that the dearth of articles dearth of assistants is mitigated by utilizing these advanced technologies, so that the problems that are faced by small and medium practitioners of not having good assistants or number of assistants is overcome. So these are the two main areas wherein we focus this whole year to see that technology upgradation and widening the practice areas are done. And with this introduction, I also announce the what's called new curriculum that is to come from 1st of July itself. The new curriculum will be effective from 1st of April. Those who have joined articles up to 30th June alone will fall under the old syllabus. So those who register for articles, it is not registering for SRO and ITT orientation. If all these completed, then if such people can get themselves registered for the articles registration before 30th of this month, to be eligible to write the examinations in the upcoming examination. Otherwise, those who register after first of July and after, they will have to for SRO. If they register after 1st of July, they will have to pass intermediate both the groups. Then only join for articleship. Articles will be deferred till they pass intermediate examination. So those who are in this transition period, please advise them if you come across this. We have already have SRO, the student registration, along with the ICT and orientation completed, to register before 30th of June to enable themselves to write the examinations, upcoming examinations, without waiting for writing, passing the intermediate examination, and then enter into the articles. That is one thing, and articles is reduced from 3 years to 2 years in the new curriculum. So after passing intermediate to both, very difficult for small and medium practitioners to get the articles, because the number of students who take up CA examinations, pass both the groups of intermediate, and then come to articles would be drastically very low from what it is now, and hence the articles would prefer the big force. So you have to find out an alternative. We at SIRC, we are coming with a plan how to mitigate the problem of shortage of article students for the small and medium practitioners in the coming days. So with these opening remarks, I think I took a bit extra time. Uh, Thank you for bearing with me, Dr. Sir. He is one person who made me who created much interest in me in the public and finance governance. I have been in touch with him for the last 6 years, because this is my 8th year in the council, and he has been guiding us. He has been writing articles with his team in the ICAI journals. So the future is government accounting in this area of double entry system, conversion to double entry system. And there is one area I think we will cover it. 15th Finance Commission has incentivized these local bodies to go and move into the audit of financial statements and present them before 30th September, for which 90,000 crore per annum is earmarked for the urban local bodies. I don't know if it is updated. Murali sir will update you on that, and that incentive must make these people to do that, and we at SIRC will take forward the message or the representations to the state governments to adopt a double entry system of accounting wherever it is not adopted in all the state government entities in the coming days across the south states. So with this introduction, thank you very much for the patient hearing, and I wish to have a great learning from Dr. Murali sir, because he has put up more than 4 decades. It's nearly 5 decades he has been in government and public finance area, and he will be the guide for the institute also in many matters. Once again, a warm welcome to you, sir. And also I recognize the presence of our secretary, Mr. Arun, and other delegates. Once again, warm welcome to you all, and wish you all a happy learning for the day. Thank you very much. Over to you, Rahman.
Uh, Thank you very much, Chairman Sir. An appeal once again to all our members. Kindly do register for our MSME conclave scheduled on 24th and 25th at DG Vaishnav College. For registration, you please visit www.sirc-ica.org. On the homepage itself, we have the registration link is available. Please do register and make this program a grand success. Now let's come to today's program. It's my privilege to introduce Sir. Dr. R.S. Murli is a qualified chartered accountant, cost accountant, and a company secretary with a MSc in psychology and a PhD in economics. He got NC Krishnan Medal, having obtained All India first rank in post qualification program in corporate management of ICAI. A big round of applause for that, sir, for getting that award. He is also a certified in information systems and security with CISA and CRISC. He was a British Council and Commonwealth Scholar at London School of Economics and is an alumnus of University of Manchester, the University of Southern California, and Harvard University. He recently completed a course in higher teaching at Harvard University. He has certifications from IMF and ACCA on public financial management. He has got over 35 years of consulting, training, and research experience. He served as an advisor to one of the state governments in India and has clientele in countries ranging from Far East to the Middle East. He has consulted for 8 state governments apart from the Government of India, Government of Bhutan, and Government of Sri Lanka. He continues to serve as an independent director in companies. He is a faculty for the Master Class in Finance at the Institute of Directors. He has published over research articles in professional journals, contributed chapters in 5 books, and authored 2 books. He has developed strategic models in management that is being used in industries even nowadays. He is on the board of studies of a private university and colleges. He serves as an expert in the Committee on Public and Government Financial Management of ICAI. He has authored research publication for ICAI. With this brief, I have great pleasure in welcoming Dr. R.S. Murali to handle today's session on accounting standards for urban local bodies. Over to you, Murali, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You're able to hear me? Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, my dear friend, Chairman of SIRC, Mr. Pannaraj, Mr. C. Arun, Secretary, and Mr. Rahman. Thanks for the introduction. Before I start, I share my PowerPoint. I want to make few points very clear. In the next 2.5 hours we are having, I want the members to be as active as possible. Wherever you have any issues, you can raise. Some of this I can answer. Where I don't have answer, I will find answers for you. Don't worry. And most important part is, I just wanted to start with on a lighter note. Had the topic been today, urban local bodies and GST, we would have had 2 more zeros as participants. So many people would have come. That is because a precious metal is never recognized by people. People go where others go. So I'm very happy that SIRC is bold enough to arrange such, and in general, when you talk about accounting standards, you get lost. So don't worry. You can be very sure, since I myself don't know the subject so much, all of us can learn together. So I'll try to make the session as live as possible. Most important is this, I am trying to use this topic called accounting standards for local bodies in order to identify, provide insights into areas where chartered accountants are required. There's a huge demand, as Chairman was saying, there's a huge demand for accountants. I'm so happy that a lot of work is being done on MSME and medium small practitioners. That is where the power of our profession lies. People don't know. So please don't, I always tell my people, if you continue to do what you got yesterday, if you continue to do what you did yesterday, you'll continue to get what you got yesterday. So you need to be different. And let me share my PPT. Okay. So accounting standards for local bodies. I am sure I am here with 3 objectives, very, very clear objectives. We'll work on them. The first one is to sensitize the participants on accounting standard for local bodies. We can do only that much sensitizing because we do not have cases. I'll tell you why. Only when this is starting to get implemented will the accounting standards, 31 accounting standards that have been developed, will get more and more vigor, right? The second part is to understand this new area of practice objectively. Please try to understand this area. And most of the international accounting and audit firms have grown only based on this area of service. And I'm sure all of you know that after New York Stock Exchange in the US, the largest stock exchange is municipal stock exchange. And my dear friends, the day is not far off because already SEBI has issued regulations. I'm not touching upon that today, but as a brief, we should have a separate session for that. So SEBI has already issued regulation on the municipal bonds, regulation on municipal bonds. And the institute has already done a publication on the areas of professional areas for practice for chartered accountants in relation to municipal bonds. Many of the municipalities and larger corporations have started issuing bonds, and there's a huge role to play. I thought it is very relevant, so that's why I'm saying this. Third one is to identify the scope. What does it mean? Scope is not there in the work, the scope is in us. So how do I upgrade myself in order to avail the opportunities? If you are going to wear a green glass, everything will appear green. So therefore, we need to wear the right glass in order to understand what is where. And sometimes you need to use the telescope. And once you identify the object, you need to use a microscope. So we go deeper into it. Having stated this, look at this. I'm sure many of you are surprised looking at this. What this guy is supposed to be talking about accounting standards. Why is this? I'm sure at the end of this session, you will understand why I'm starting my session with this. Dear friends, whenever we talk of accounting standards, we are talking about quality of accounting and disclosure. Basically, there are several things, but accounting and disclosure, we are talking about quality. And it is the responsibility of we professionals to see that these two things are done properly. Accounting is done properly, disclosure is done properly. And then you don't look at the outside one. I want you to look at the inside. Look at this, the core accounting part. What do we talk about? Chart of accounts, budgeting, revenue accounting, expenditure accounting, asset accounting, liability accounting, statutory compliance, financial reporting. My dear friends, these are all enabled by accounting standards only. You may be slightly inquisitive to know how budgeting has come there. Budgeting has come there because budget is the first document from which the government starts working. I'm just giving you some major points and I'm going to connect it through this process today. So you have citizen participation, revenue accounting, property tax. All these there are about 20 to 25 different revenue sources for any urban local body. So revenue accounting, of course, expenditure accounting. And this is where most of the scams take place. So asset accounting, I'll comment on this slightly later. Liability accounting, there is huge number of borrowers from different places. And in case they issue debt, they issue bond again. And of course, the whole host of statutory compliance and MIS, which is the base for financial reporting. Therefore, if the outside items, the yellow boxes have to be taken care, which represents governance, unless the inner core accounting takes place, you cannot ensure that. Therefore, for that to happen, the inner circle should be complete, which means establishing the standards for that can happen only through the ASLB accounting standard for local bodies. And unlike a financial statement, which is there with few stakeholders, in terms of number of stakeholders, who are the stakeholders? A, the shareholder. B, the regulatory authorities. C, the management and related people. So the stakeholders are within these. But you take a government organization, stakeholder, everybody. Everyone is a stakeholder in the case of government. Therefore, if you look at down below, you have a set of interfaces. There is something called City Finance Portal. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to go through. I'll give you the link in one of my slides. You can take it. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India. Then you have got what is called as PFMS, Public Financial Management System. Completely all the funds between governments and with the institutions are transferred only through this PFMS. There's a huge lot of accounting. There's a huge lot of software, etc. happening there. Of course, state treasury. Almost all the states in India is completely computerized and therefore state treasury. Then citizen services, most of us, we don't go to government institutions today. Municipal tax we are paying online, electricity we are paying online, the whole lot of it. And therefore you need bank and payment gateways. And we using our handheld devices. And increasingly property taxes, properties are identified using geographic information systems. I'm giving you simple examples. There are so many, right? And how does the contracts are how the contracts are made today through e-procurement portal. And of course, you have the audit management systems. And wherever C&AG, they are the auditors, they already have extremely well done electronic audit management systems. That's already available, right? And that is these are all the external systems which is going to make use of the accounting information. And on the right side, you have a lot of stakeholders who want to use this information. One, for the internal administration, you have a lot of civil societies, public, financial market, because bond market is there, central and state governments. There's a huge lot of analysts who are doing work, regulatory agencies who are looking at them. So look at this. And what I intend doing today is do a storytelling and try to get you where you should go in terms of you learning some of these and positioning yourself in your respective practice. This is huge. Each of the boxes, each of the terminologies I have given here, we have got scope to work. So therefore, let's get into this journey. I will also share my experiences in each one of these wherever possible. Wherever I don't know, I'll say I don't know, because many people don't know a lot of things. We come from, now I ask a question. In India, where is the accounting standards defined? Has ICAI defined it? Please check. I'm not going to answer. Take a look at it. We every day breathe by accounting standards. Check who has defined it. Okay. So I'm taking a very, very appropriate, internationally accepted definition of accounting standing, which comes from Canada, to make our discussion easier. So accounting standards, you know all this, I'm not getting into the academic definition, but recognition, measurement, presentation, disclosure. So you recognize a particular thing, how that particular thing, an entry, how it is measured, an event, recognizing the event, what it triggers, how it is measured, how it is presented, and how it is disclosed for the purpose of. And increasingly, people who try to read it are simpletons who don't understand accounting jargons. But today, what has happened? Thanks to all the research that is going on in our field and all professionals like us, we have made it as complicated as possible. Okay, let me not get emotionally into it. Let me move on. Okay, objective. Ultimately, the objective is to provide financial information to various stakeholders. Please, we are going to use the word stakeholders because we have moved from shareholders to stakeholders, and we have moved from financial reporting to integrated reporting. Take for granted. If you are still thinking of olden days, financial reporting, you are gone. Let's move. So from shareholders to stakeholders, we have moved. From information, financial information to non-financial information, we are moving. And also, we are moving from financial reporting to integrated reporting, whether it be private sector, public sector, blah, blah. So let's understand the definition of that in this. Therefore, there are so many guys who are going to look at it. Okay? Right. Therefore, why this is required? There are some interesting points in this. One is accountability. Incidentally, my PhD was on public finance in the same area, and it is on accountability and transparency. I came up with a postulate, which I'll tell you sometime later. But what is accountability? Ability to account. And what do you mean by account? All of us are accountants. Can somebody tell what is the meaning of the term, definition of the term accounting? What do you mean by to account? Take up a dictionary, do a Google search. Account means to explain. So accounting is a process of explaining various incidents that happened, which accountant call as transaction. Action is one way, transaction is two way, your double entry, which brings accountability, ability to account. That's what is accountability. What is consistency? I need not tell about it. We need standards because you present it in a consistent way for the purpose of comparability within the organization multiple years or with one organization with the other. All of us understand. Efficiency. Very interesting. There are two aspects to efficiency. One, efficiency, all of us know the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. What is effectiveness? Being effective is whether we are achieving the objective. Being efficient is output by input, productivity. So, efficiency, are we bringing the financial statement in an efficient manner with the simplistic and realistic and correct processes? Process efficiency to produce financial statement should be provided by accounting standards. Compliance, I need not tell you. Compliance is various rules and regulation you have to comply. Another new area which in normal financial accounting standards you may not see is budgeting. What are budgets? Immediately people will say budgets are various line items and you what you say, you plan for the next year, financial plan. Perfectly right, but that's the output document. But what is the input? You know, you go to most of these governments or even private companies, you go them, how do you do budgeting for this year? Sir, last year budget you take increase 5%, 10%. Who prepares it? Look at that clerk, he only prepares it. We have made a mockery of the whole system. That's not budgeting. If you budget this 5%, 10% enhancement, then what do you mean? It means that this year I'll be 5 or 10% as inefficient as last year. More inefficiency increased by 5%. Budgeting has to come from the vision of the organization. What is vision? Where is vision for us? Forward. So what are you looking? What are you trying to do in the next few years? Oh, I want to become number one company. I am right now number 7. I have to. So if I have to go as number one company, I need to do 1,000 crores turnover in my business. Okay. This is in terms of company, corporate, easy for us to understand the vision. And accordingly, I prepare my budgets, which is my financial plan. Whereas in the case of government, it is slightly different. So in the private sector, we do the budgeting based on what is likely to be market share, how much I am going to increase, what are the strategies I follow, and then I blah, 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 I work out and I say, okay, the expected ROI or the expected PAT is this time 17%, 25%, all this. How much do my venture capitalists want? How much do my shareholders want? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever I promised. Very simple. Government, it is different because we go in government by what is required. So you prepare the expenditure budget first and then only you see the income, revenue. I have to build 3 bridges, I have to build 2 this and then so many roads, blah, blah, blah. I make it up. It comes to, let's say for a small municipality, it comes to 100 crores this year. And therefore my revenue has to be more than 100 crores, but I collect only 27 crores revenue. There is a deficit of 75 crores. I go big borrow still, I take from the government, I take from some grant, I blah, 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 or I plead with the government to get loan from World Bank. I do all that. So there's a huge amount of matters. So this budget and actual and the variance is a very, very important measure for the management of urban local bodies or any government. So therefore budgeting is also part of our accounting standard. Investment decisions. Yes, there are 2 aspects. What is the investment decision? Every investment decision, all your NPV, IRR, blah, 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 everything is applicable here, but much more complicated because you are not going to give a financial IRR, you are also going to integrate social cost benefit. Lot of such things are there. Even this field is in infancy, there is a lot of work that can be done. Then is the oversight. What is oversight? Oversight is the supervision at different tiers of the government. We will discuss about the tiers of the government sometime later. But then this oversight, very important. And last but not least, clarity during this transition to accrual. Now, I think all of you know that in general, the government follows cash basis of accounting. Not in India, across the globe. But you can go and do an internet search. There are about 30 to 40% of the countries who have already moved fully into accrual accounting. There are countries where professional accountants certify the balance sheet, right? It is there. It's happening. But when we come to India, the 74th Amendment to the Constitution, 1992, and we are in 2023, 30 years are gone. What did the 74th Amendment do? 74th Amendment gave complete power to urban local bodies and created the 3rd tier of government legally. This is the government. It's an independent government, which we don't understand. We still feel that it is one part of state government. That is how the politicians have made the whole thing. But that's not so. The second tier of the government is trying to completely grab. And I don't know, somebody who is 60 plus would know that when we were young, when there used to be these local body elections, very rarely there used to be party members contesting for election. Local body election means somebody locally very good, that person will be elected. No, the whole thing is gone. The politics has gone into even educational campuses, right? All of you know about it. So coming back to our topic, clarity during the transition is from cash basis of accounting, they are supposed to move to accrual basis of accounting, despite the fact that 92 the decision was taken. Only in year 2000 it started materializing at the urban local body level. Since our chairman wanted me to share some history, I'm sharing that history, because from that time I have been part of the whole system, what is happening in India. So therefore, then what happened? The first state in India to move to 100% of the ULBs into accrual accounting was the state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu was the first state in India. In 99-2000, all the urban local bodies within 1.5 years, they moved to accrual accounting. Whom did they take the help? Whose help they took? Nobody's help. They did it by themselves. The government department did by themselves. And then they wanted a confirmation whether what we have done is right or wrong. So naturally they came to ICAI. They came to ICAI and said, hey guys, tell us, are we in the right track? Okay. So the ICAI came up with a technical guide, transition to accrual accounting, local body. That was the first publication. The committee was not yet formed. Accounting Standards Board did not have an exclusive committee for that at that time. So we were all involved in that stage. Incidentally, in 2000, there was no decision by any government that the ULBs will follow double entry accounting system. That's the fact. Then what happened? They formed a committee. The government of India formed a committee. First committee looked at PRIs, Panchayati Raj institutions, or your rural local bodies. And they'd already gone and searched and did some studies and said that, okay, you will have cash basis of accounting. Take it. So all the Panchayati Raj institutions have cash basis of account. Then they took the matter of. So there was one Khandelwal committee. Khandelwal was the deputy AG in charge of urban local bodies. So he created a committee. He went on different places in India, and unfortunately he met me. We were doing in one of the states. He met me. They were almost ready at that time to recommend cash basis of accounting. But the Tamil Nadu experiments and some presentations we gave in Bangalore and then in Chennai completely changed. He put a group of 4-5 people with whom I was involved, and a lot of information we gave. I made a note to them based on internationally what is happening in Europe, what is happening in the US, and a country like Australia, Ireland. Ireland was one of the earliest governments to go double entry. So we gave all this and the committee decided and said accrual accounting. This must have been 2001-2, I don't remember, somewhere around the time. And then the government requested C&AG to come out with what is called as National Municipal Accounting Manual. And the National Municipal Accounting Manual came up in 2004-5. And then the Mr. Khandelwal changed, and one Mr. Satyamurthy came, and he was the Deputy AG in charge of ULBs. And what does the National Municipal Accounting Manual say? Complete manual of this, including some transition issues. So I had the opportunity to vet that. We made some changes, minimal changes, so that we wanted to push it. And then it became National Municipal Accounting Manual, which became mandatory. Now, what did the government do? They made a smart move. Like JN and URM, I hope all of you know, they said, my dear friends, the money that is being given by central government to urban local bodies through Finance Commission, we will give you that money only if you convert your accounting to double entry accounting. When was this done? 2004-5. And then the race started. Each of the states, they started moving. Some people had the first mover advantage. Some people had the advantage of being the last because they had all the experience with others. The reason why I'm spending so much time on this, please try to understand, that was the time when the committee on this government accounting, etc., was formed at ICAI, and somehow I've been involved from that time in all this. Okay, so in order to provide clarity during the transition, we have one accounting standards, cash basis of accounting. Why? In some, very recently, ICAI conducted a program in Nagaland for the government of Nagaland. I was there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We found that they don't even have this proper cash basis of accounting in the ULBs. What do you want? You want them to do accrual accounting? Use all the, just not possible. So implement cash basis of accounting and then slowly move. This clarity in the implementation is exactly what I want to discuss with you people today, to give a flavor of how the accounting standards will be implemented. So much. Sorry, I've taken a lot of time, but I thought this is important for you to understand the history behind it and some of my experience and how the role played by institute right from the beginning. Right? Okay. So then we come to the accounting standard. They have been developed by the Committee on Public and Government Financial Management. I have given a link for this. Please go through. It gives fund of information. Later on, I'll show you what all information is provided. Extremely good sharing there, knowledge sharing. You can go through. ALBs provide. So therefore, what is the objective? If you look at improve transparency, accountability, comparability, we have discussed all this. Till now, totally 31 ASLBs have been developed. Now, early 2000s, International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, all our accounting standard. We are part of IFAC, all of you know, all the accounting standards and the, harmonization with IFRS, all that is being done, IFAC and the International Accounting Standards Board, etc., etc. Similarly, there is an International Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, IPSASB, IPSAS board. This IPSAS board has come up with IPSAS, a huge amount of that. And some of you want to learn. There are a lot of institutions which give you a certificate program on IPSAS. Some of you who want to do this, it will be helpful for you. Why? You can do assignments outside India also. It will help you. A lot of countries have simply adapted. Just they have taken it adopted same with slight modifications. We have adapted made changes to our requirements. I'm coming to that. Okay, so there are 31 ASLBs. Now, what is the role of the committee? Constituted to assist central and state government and local bodies, all the 3 tiers of the government, for their accounting reforms and public financial management. So your ASLB cannot be removed from accounting reforms and public finance management, because all of us as chartered accountants are used. You go for an audit, somebody has already passed the entries, you check whether it is as per standards. That's it. Here, no, they are nowhere. We are introducing that. You can't go and check. First, you have to introduce. That is the perspective from which you have to understand the accounting standards. And it comes as a package with public accounting reforms and public finance management. PFM is going to be the buzzword for accountants for next 20 to 30 years, whether you want it or not. So, Institute has got a certificate program on your PFM. Every IMF has got one. Lot of international agencies have their own PFM programs. Please, I recommend all of you to go through so that you get a better perspective of the domain that you are going to be in or you are in, right? So, objective is formulating accounting standards, but there is no accounting standards without accounting reform and public financial management. Nobody is going to call you, my dear friend, I am giving you an announcement whereby tender for introducing 8 ASLBs in such and such municipality, corporation. No, it is going to be accounting reform or PFM assignment in which you will incidentally embed this. I hope I'm conveying it properly. So 31 ASLBs have been drafted, and the committee also focuses on capacity building. So when they say we will assist central, state and local bodies, so that is one of the workshops we organized recently, and we're trying to do relevant training for them, because they don't know what is even accrual accounting. There's a very interesting incident that took place. Accrual accounting. It was the first seminar organized by ICAI. I think some must have been around 2001 I forgot. It was also in a big hotel, and they had invited dignitaries from all the state government of the big, some 300-400 guys were participating. And it is a one whole day seminar, morning to evening, on accrual accounting in local body, in urban local bodies. Okay, we had all our president was there for almost the entire day. It was a big level. Ministers came and all that. And somehow, like our chairman did, SIRC chairman now did, somebody in institute, I think they had some problem with me. They said, Murli, you have to talk to them on accrual accounting. So they said accrual accounting. And there was another person inside, I don't know, who didn't like me. He made it post-lunch session for me. I have to talk to them, convince them about accounting accrual accounting to be introduced in the local bodies, and that too post-lunch session. But anyway, I had done my homework and we presented, and you'll be surprised. Most of the people who came there, they said, wow, if this is going to be accrual accounting, we don't mind, please. That was the first ever consensus that was built up at national level somewhere around 2001 I don't remember. But that is not the part. I'll come to the lighter part. So the whole thing was over. One gentleman, I think he worked for Delhi Municipal Corporation or something, old man. He said, Murli ji, I want to talk to you. I said, fine. So, and he said, I want to narrate an incident. I want to tell something to Murli ji on the mic. I said, okay, what is there? So he said, Ji, today is my last working day. I am going to retire tomorrow. But I have learnt a lot. I wish you guys had done it 30 years back. Now only I really understood. I thought accrual accounting meant accrual accounting. Now only I really understand what is accrual accounting. I thought it was a very cruel accounting, he said. I can never forget it, even if it is 20 years ago. That was on a lighter wing. So I wish that gentleman is alive and kicking. I remember him even today. Okay. So then let's look at now. These accounting standards 31 that have been released is not cut in stone. Why? We took the IPSAS, we took our experience in the field and we have drafted. So they have, whereas in the corporate sector, all the accounting standards have been tested and tried and done in different places. But in governance, you can't do what accounting standard for local bodies applied in America may not be fully applicable in India. Even in corporate laws, we find that it is all the more. Therefore, let's understand this process of how this is done. So first, the broad areas are identified. You know what? There was a time before the IPSAS where I was involved, before they brought in IPSAS. So we were there in the board, we were discussing in Delhi Institute, and there was only a couple of guys, maybe 10, 12 guys. So each one wanted. Then we divided ourselves what standards we'll write. So we decided one will go for revenue accounting, one will go for expenditure accounting. Simple standards. We decided some 8 or 10 standards. I forgot. So revenue accounting. So we started writing revenue. In municipalities, you have 2 types of revenue: tax revenue, non-tax revenue, blah, blah, blah. And then we drafted, we discussed, it almost became an exposure draft. By that time, the Government of India and ICAI signed with IFAC, IPSAS. Then we had to revise the whole thing. Now we have 2 standards. One for what is that? Tax, and other for non-tax. We will see all that. Okay. So first the broad areas are formulated wherever. Then it became easy because IPSAS has got 40 odd standards. Whichever stand is suitable, we discuss, and that is brought in. Then the committee or the ICAI forms the study groups. Sometimes I will be the leader for the study group. I constitute a committee under. Similarly, a lot of study groups throughout India. Study groups are formulated. Then the proposed standard, it has got certain aspects. What is the objective? Objective is what will be achieved if the standard is implemented. What is the scope? What type of institutions it is applicable for? In this case, it is local body, but when it will be applicable, etc. Then definitions, then usual standard. Definition, recognition, presentation, disclosure, you know. Like any other thing, you have the bold ones, you have the explanatory statements. Sometimes we also give in annex computations and examples and some discussions. Very important is deviations. In case we feel that this is not applicable in India, then this can be the deviation. Now, why I said this is all not cut in stone, because when we wrote the standard few years ago, we shared our experience, but there is so much of experience which still is yet to go, where you guys have to do all the work and then this will get updated. So understand that this is a process. Then the preliminary draft is made by the study group and it is completely debated. Line by line, word by word is presented and people discuss. People who are all coming there, I will show you. Right? And the procedure for issuance of an interpretation of the accounting standards, that is also done. How do you interpret this standard? Blah, blah. And the committee circulates the draft to the council members, and there is a list of some specified bodies. What are they? I want you to understand. Right? Of course, CAG, Minister of Urban Development. Third one, I don't know how many of you know, Controller General of Accounts. The people who are employed as auditors in CAG, they pass an exam called IA&AS, Indian Accounts and Audit Service. The Control General of Accounts, they pass an exam called ICAS. Okay, Indian Civil Accounting Service. But it's very interesting to note the CAG himself is generally an IAS, not an IA&AS. Anyway, this is incidental. Okay, then you have the Ministry of Urban Development. What is the role of Control General of Accounts? Control General of Accounts is the person, they have a full set of some of the ICAs have become income tax commissioners, ICAS guys. Okay, so what is the Control General of Accounts they do? They are the actual accountants. CAG are the auditors. I hope you get it. So they maintain the chart of accounts. In case for railways, what should be the chart of accounts? It's not CAG, it is CGA. Try to go through that. Then the Ministry of Panchayati Raj, NIUA, then local bodies of different state government, and every state has got what is called as local fund audit department, which audits the accounts. In most of the places, it's called LFAD, local fund audit. Some places, for example, Karnataka, they call state Karnataka State Audit Department, KSAD. I like that, but basically they're called local fund audit. And incidentally, people from Tamil Nadu, the local fund audit department of Government of Tamil Nadu is the oldest in India. It was formed in 1885. And I had the privilege of doing their audit manual some time back. So it's very interesting. I saw the old document, 1885 document, how well it is drafted. Anyway, incidental. Okay, then directorates of local fund audit, then major local bodies. Let's say major local body, corporation, Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation. The budget of Brihan Mumbai Corporation is bigger than some 7 or 8 states in India, including Kerala. That is the size. These guys understand what it is. Then National Institute of Financial Management, of course, SEBI is there. Then they form a lot of technical committees within the government. So such committees, Council of Mayors, all the mayors in India, they have a council. There's an Institute of Local Self-Government. Then donor agencies like World Bank, USAID, ADB, etc. Of course, ICAI, ICSI, IAMs, and whichever relevant the committees. So all these people are there as invited members. All these are circulated to them. I want you to understand so much of work is going on, right? So this draft goes there, and so their views are taken. Most of them give it in writing. Many of them come and present also, right? With that only the exposure draft, then it comes to the exposure draft level, and then it is circulated. You see in the Chartered Accountant Journal, or you get a link that this is already there, such and such time is given to you, please give your comments. So all that and other interest group, if any, is done. Then the comments taken, incorporated, exposure draft is sent to government, various committees in the government, right? Then the draft proposed accounting standards, interpretation, blah, blah, everything is put together and submitted to the council. Then council, if necessary, could modify. Then modification also has to go through whether the modification is right or wrong. Okay. And then it is sent to ministry. And if there is any substantive revision, somebody tells something, or the ministry says the policy is changed, something has to be done, blah, blah. Or IPSAS has changed, whatever. And then it is finally, draft is circulated and finalized. Like this, 31 standards have been finalized in the last approximately 15 to 17 years by ICAI. Phenomenal job done, but let's see what is happening. Okay. So we come to local government. So I told you, central government, state government, local government, we have public, Panchayat Raj institutions are rural and ULBs. We are focusing on the right hand side alone. Our focus is only in this area. Municipal corporation, municipal count, Nagar Panchayat or whatever called based on the definition of what urban local body is. Great. Now let us look at it. Central government, state government, they handle only cash basis of accounting. Therefore, they do not have balance sheets. It is a fact. They do not have balance sheets. They own huge assets, but no balance sheet. Hey, why? Why means that is what the Britishers wanted. The fellow who ruled us did not want financial statement properly, and therefore did not want to have financial balance sheets. Otherwise, you will know what he has taken home. All the countries where Britishers, which were British colonies, same thing. Okay, so that's what it is. Today, the government of India or state government do not know what is their assets and liabilities in one place. Not possible. At least there are some local bodies, thanks to last 20 years effort, we have some semblance of a balance sheet. So local government, but it is also correct that when you correct this, you always correct it from the systemic perspective. You go from local government to state government to central government. That's going to happen because CGA is already in the process of evolving double entry for some of the state departments. Last 10 years, a lot of work is going. State and central. Something is happening, which means, my dear friends, look at the area that you are sitting on. You are not even sitting on a diamond mine, something much more precious. So much is there. So much of work has to be done. And so much of possibility is there. Now, even in the accrual accounting, I would say the potential of our profession is now up to 10 to 12% or 15% maximum is used. 85%. And because many of the CAs are not exposed to this, some stupid fellows are doing that work. Let me tell you. Okay. So what is happening? What is the global scenario? According to IFAC, many governments have started moving to accrual accounting and are applying IPSAS. 30% they have moved to accrual accounting 2020. This is all the tiers of government, because many countries you have only two tiers. Take UK, only two tiers. They have a central government and local government, no state in UK. Whereas you go to US, it is like us, right? They have a federal government, they have various state governments, they have municipal governments also, very similar to India, right? Now we come to the IPSAS board. I've already told you it is an international public sector setting standards board, promotes high quality. All these materials available for download. Just take it and see, just for the academic interest. Okay, so quality and comparability we have seen. Now, the one of the reasons why we needed to adopt IPSAS is, as I told you, we started off, the government's functioning starts with budgeting, and budget information getting into the financial statement is a part of the policy in government and in IPSAS. So your all the procedures, all the standards will be compliant of this budget information getting in at the right place. You need to understand. So that is the key why we are following IPSAS. so that ultimately it is information to the stakeholders, which I started off with. Now we come to the applicability. Very, very interesting. So ULBs in India are required to follow accounting blah 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 according to the you have to follow the National Municipal Accounting Manual. So what is happening? You search for National Municipal Accounting Manual. It says NMAM 2004. You can download it, some 700-page document. Is it 100% relevant today? Maybe 70% relevant. A lot of things have changed. They have not been incorporated. There is a move to update this. We will see whether it is getting updated. But, however, the state governments, in order to take money from the government, they can either adopt it as such or change it as per the requirements of the state. Because urban is a state subject. You know, no? State list, central list and concurrent list. It comes in the state list. Therefore, urban is a state subject, and therefore the states will have to prepare the National Municipal Accounting Manual and its adaptation to the state. I think today almost all the states have gone to that level. They are not mandatory. No, sir, you are telling so much it is not yet mandatory. Yes. Why? The states will have to say it is mandatory. They have not yet said. But sir, we know a lot of CA firms who are doing some audit or some certification. Yes, I am coming to that. So it says that apply only to items which are material. These standards are applied to which are only material. Let's not get into the materiality debate now, but more importantly, the committee addresses various issues that can happen while implementing the ALBs, ASLBs. Flexibility for practitioners to adapt ASLBs to the requirements of the ULBs without compromising. So all that support want the board, the committee will give any of the CAs. But there are few points in this I'll cover after some time. Now we come to adoption and implementation. Now this is the core. So you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 of implementation. So phase 1 is creating opening balance sheet. Hey, my account was nothing, cash basis of accounting. Every money that comes is receipt and payment. All my asset gone to payment. I don't have receivables. Then how do I manage? No, you don't ask them. No, sir, there is a register called DCB. They vouch by DCB. Go to any ULB, DCB. Without DCB, the organization cannot function. What is DCB? Demand collection balance book. What is my property tax demand? What is the collection? What is the balance? What is the balance? Is your receivable. So it is available somewhere. Where is the asset? Asset expensed. Part of the asset created this year, no capital WAP, expensed. Next year, what has been expensed? Then how do you track asset? No, sir. There is a property register. Who is managing it? How is it linked to accounts? No, sir, that is managed by somebody in the public works department. Will it tally with accounts? Sir, no idea. This will be the situation. So, creating opening balance sheet, there are 24 schedules. All these have been tested over time. So, 24 registers, lot of assignments are done where chartered accountants, almost 100% except for the state of Tamil Nadu, which they themselves created. Opening balance sheet is done by chartered accountants and certified by them. Now, how do you know this? There are norms, there are PWD norms for evaluation of valuation of various assets. There is a separate aspects when you come to accounting standards. How do you value your opening balance sheet, your asset, heritage asset? You have Victoria Hall. You have Ripon buildings in Chennai. How do you value? 1 rupee or 100 rupees? Nominal value. You can't value that. So there are norms that have been given for 24 different items which are likely to be there in opening balance sheet. That is the first stage. Create opening balance sheet. Then what do? You create chart of accounts. Complete chart of accounts. And you need to do mapping. Existing receipt and payment to this, which can be accrual, this can be lot of R&D. Every case will be different. That is the beauty. Even within the state, it is very difficult to standardize because each region will follow something else. So we need to bring amazing work. When you sit and do that work, you will know how professionally challenging it is. So for the phase 1, when we are creating opening balance sheet and starting to do the chart of accounts, and there are a set of accounting standards, may not be mandatory, but will be useful for you to do that. That's why we are discussing today. Then after the implementation of accounting, accrual accounting, slowly it goes on until they become mature. Some standards can be implemented during the time. And once there is maturity, certain other standards can be introduced. Which means that if you are getting an engagement, you can have an engagement for a longer time. This is going to be. If the talent is available with us, requirements are there. Don't worry about it. Okay. So we come to what is called as ASLB adoption metrics. I came up with this metrics only to help the practitioners, people who are not even aware. No problem. Take this and you go by this. This will be 80 to 90% applicable to you. Okay. Because depending on the situation, you may have to change. Reality, contingency will always be there. And it also takes into account they are using some accounting software like Tally. I think most of the places they have, except for very few smaller states, all of them are using some accounting software, generally Tally or some local breed of accounting software. Don't worry about it. It does the double entry properly. So very interesting. Out of 31 ASLBs, 2 issued, 2 have been made mandatory for ICAI members. Now, there are 2 types of assignments which currently CA firms are doing across the country. Many of them are doing. All of you know, or some of you may be doing. One, I doubt whether they audit. Of course, in Karnataka, they do financial statement audit. The state accounting department do other usual compliance, etc. audit. And the state auditor, who is the auditor, statutory auditor legally, he will make use of the certification made by the CA. And finally, one thing is to be prepared. Whether it is happening or not, yes, it is happening to a great extent. Some cases it is not happening, but in general, I'm trying to explain to you the concept. As I told you, the statutory auditor for urban local bodies in general, as it prevails today, is the local fund auditor or the local state government auditor. wanted at that time. So they continue to meticulously follow that and they do proprietary audit. But it will not talk about financial statements. It will not talk about assets, liabilities, nothing. So what they do, Sir was mentioning about 15th Finance Commission. After 10th or 11th, what is Finance Commission? You have a Central Finance Commission, you have State Finance Commission. Let me in one line explain to you. Please go through, they got amazing websites. You will understand what they do. It is a constituted Central Finance Commission, CFC. It is constituted once in 5 years. And these people collect detailed data. They consist of all lot of thinkers, think tank team. They do lot of focused studies. They come up with the ratio of how much of central money to be transferred to state and to the local bodies, urban local bodies, how much money is to be transferred, what is on what basis money has to be transferred. And what they did after 11th Finance Commission, they shall have financials, they shall, first they said, they shall introduce accrual accounting system. Otherwise you can't take. Many states, many ULBs are not taking that. Why? No accrual accounting. Some of the smarter states have jumped in early. So that is one part. So there, now what they have stated, I am going to show you sometime later. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Mahua, has created what is called as a city finance portal. www.cityfinance, don't put CITI, that will go to Citibank. cityfinance.org. If you go there, what they have done, the state shall upload all the ULB's accrual based audited financial statement, upload, then only you get your money. You saw that? Now, the states are now caught, the ULBs are caught. What is it? On one side, you say accrual accounting, we said we will also do. Audit has to be over, the state auditor will do. But now you say accrual accounting, audited financial statement, this year should do. And they have also done. Is the growth as per the state domestic product? Is it growing? Is your revenue growing faster? A lot of things are there. Interesting things are there. You go through. That's not the focus today, but I'm just telling what is all happening. So therefore, you try to, you upload. So therefore, what these guys do, they go, they come to a chartered accountant firm and they say, my dear friend, please come, please certify this for us. So what do members do? Based on the financial information, blah, 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 explanation, don't tell us. Upload. They get their money. That's what is happening. I am not getting into whether that is correct, is it being done the right way? No, I'm just saying there's that opportunity that is happening now. Therefore, what is happening? We have seen every state having 2 audits. One done by state people, one done by CS. CS, I won't call it as audit, more of preparation of financial statement. Certification of financial state, I can say. Even the government used that entity. They said they appointed firms of chartered accountants. Go to Rajasthan, they appointed Gujarat, they appointed firms of chartered accountants certified. Okay, that's what happened. So this is the position. However, from 2022, 1st April, whether you are going to do an audit, whether you are going to do certification, ICAI said, my dear members, these 2 standards at least you have to make it mandatorily, you have to follow. cash flow statement and borrowing cost. Not too much different from our traditional normal accounting standards, almost the same. So out of the 31, 2 has become mandatory in case you do any work. You are able to do more standards validation, please do. But these two, definitely you do when you get a work from. So what I will suggest is, Chairman was telling there is a break. Rahman, can we have a break now? Is it okay?
Yes, sir, sure.
So we can have, I don't know what time you give, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. And
Yes,
then
sir.
we can continue. Please, I leave it to you for announcement.
Sure, sir.
Break for 5 minutes and join after 5 minutes shortly.
So having stated this, I would now love to come to the standards and how the standards are adopted. I made this with an ease of adoption. So we have the first column, ASLB number. You'll find some missing. Don't worry about it because they have not been issued. So the ease of adoption, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which I showed you as, you know, the OBS, etc., second phase, third phase, etc. Now you have presentation of financial statements, the first one, and definitely you start there. So it gives the purpose, responsibility, components, etc. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir.
No, there is somebody speaking. Okay. So the financial statements, the first one gives the purpose, responsibility, components, and I also given the key links to other ASLBs where they are linked to different the standards. Cash flow statements, which is sort of as of now the CAs can use it as usual, operating, investing, financing activities, and they link to standard 1. And I've given one remarks just to add some practice concepts. So receipt and payment account, naturally, that is what traditionally they have been making, and they will continue to make. So you will have a income and expenditure account. We don't say profit and loss account because there is no profit. We call it as income and expenditure account. We have balance sheet, and you have the cash flow. Cash flow prepared on OIF basis will be as per the cash flow statement standard. The other one, they make it in a different way. You call it as receipt and payment account with opening and closing balances. Of course, accounting policies, possibly this is the first one we may have to formulate along with the presentation. So, and of course, it talks about basically accounting policies, and in case there is a change in the way you make estimates, all of us know. So to introduce accounting policies first, because it is accounting policy, it is linked to all the standards, the linkage between standards, right? The effects of changes in foreign exchange, very, very rarely you come across a normal ULB, but larger ULB, there can be. They could import some equipment, they could import certain things, etc. Okay, so foreign exchange transaction applicable for larger municipal corporations. Then you have the borrowing cost, which we said is applicable in case you are doing some certification work or audit work. You know what it is, the normal, what needs to be recognized, and is there any capitalization you need to make in this thing. And it is linked to other standard which we are going to see, to link to accounting policies, of course. Revenue from exchange transactions. So here they have divided into exchange transaction. We have another one called non-exchange transaction. Your non-exchange transaction are taxes. Why? Because there is nothing in exchange. All of us pay property tax for which we are supposed to get so many. You can't earmark this particular service. Okay. So revenue from exchange transaction, for example, in some states, there's a huge horticulture income. It's an exchange transaction, so on and so forth. So this revenue, your practice tip is that your demand collection balance for each of the revenue items, they have demand collection balance available, which they plan. Of course, non-exchange transaction, you are going to have DCB there also. For example, property tax. There are 20,000 properties, 2 million properties, different categories, so many numbers, so much is the half yearly revenue tax. So accordingly, like that, you have a DCB supported with individual registers, etc. Construction contracts, yeah, we have put it in the phase 2 because simple ULBs you may not have. I mean, every ULB will have some construction, but to come to the extent of adopting a construction contract, we believe that you can take it a bit later, right? Inventories could be there. A lot of smaller ULBs carry some inventory. Slowly it is going up because they may have the inventory of cement, some steel, etc. for construction work. But all that is going now because everything is contracted out. Nothing much. Lease, important. So we must have a process by which lease in is lease out also will be there. So we need to look at them, how it is done, and that's why we put it in phase 2. Events after the reporting date, 100% will be there, and it is related to financial statement and disclosure, so that is put there. Investment property, rented properties and revenue recognition, huge. I'm telling you, if somebody can only specialize in investment property, plant and equipment of urban local bodies, you will become a big boss within few years. In one of the larger corporations in India, when we did an analysis, we found that several properties, they were not taking rent. Several properties rent was not revised from 1975 or 1980. Imagine those rents. Huge. Loss to whom? Loss to you and I, because we are the shareholders of our local body, corporation. If our corporation is rich, you get better facilities. Okay, so very, very important, these two. Plant, property, equipment, very, very similar standard because it's almost the same. But when you do an OBS, opening balance sheet, you have to link to policies and asset register, of course. Segment reporting, the segment here is various departments as far as this thing. And there could be a lot of financial, non-financial data in segment reporting as far as the ULBs are concerned. What are the non-financial data? The number of beneficiaries. Then, for example, they could construct houses, hospitals, patients, so many things there. They can do segment reporting. Contingent liability, contingent asset, both are possible. So cases for and against will definitely be there in most of the municipalities, definitely in the corporation. So you can have a look at it. The most important challenge or an interesting challenge we all will have is to setting up processes to identify such transactions. Similar transactions will be there in different sections of the same organization, but each won't know each other. That's the problem. Because why? By design, it was kept like that by our rulers. Colonial thing is continuing, so we need to change all that, right? Related party disclosure, we have put it to phase 2 because this will come very interesting. For example, you have a corporation along with the private sector creating a PPP, public-private partnership, and they create a SPV, special purpose vehicle is created. So how do you disclose for, so that 99% that's a private limited company. For solid waste management, they collect so many tons of solid waste every day. It is processed. So they make, what do you call that, fertilizers out of it. They make, what is it, they generate electricity. For all this, they have formed private limited companies. Even garbage removal, there are PPP JVs, SPVs are created. Then in the case of SPV, which we are going to audit, of course, it will be audited by CAs. So the link between the main corporation and this will be there. And impairment of non-cash generating assets. To have, so the main thing I have put down is to have process to identify them. That is very, very weak in urban local bodies. This is where we need to play a role. So it's not just about accounting standards, but enabling the accounting standards. That is why we are needed. It is not going and checking accounting standards, compliance, like how we do in corporates. Here we need to introduce them, right? That's where huge practices. Then revenue from non-exchange transactions. Taxes are there, there are transfers. Money coming from, we just now talked, finance commissions. Money coming from different tiers of government. There are non-exchange. Similarly, there could be a World Bank fund coming for a particular purpose. All those. If it is a borrowing, it comes under borrowing. If it is not a borrowing, how it comes, it's a grant, then we'll have to see. So on one side, the grant accounting takes place. On the other side, if it is a revenue, we need to recognize. This is a very different standard exclusively for this, for government entities. Presentation of budget information in financial statement, separate standard. This is very important. This is where the accountability comes. So are they budgeting for what they are supposed to? Are they budgeting in the right way? Are they disclosed? So when this comes, what happens? In financial statement, you show budget. Actuals is nothing but your financial statement. I budgeted 10 crores for this flyover. The actual is 10.3 crores or 13 crores. The actuals come from the financial statements, and you have the variance, and the decision makers sitting within the government, they are responsible to answer that. See, that is the only when that comes out, the real power of the citizens and the power of our profession will be known to people. So that's what it is. Then the other one, we saw non-cash 21 and 26, impairment of cash generating assets. Again, the processes have to be done. Intangible assets, some of the joint ventures may need. I have not seen any case where this is used, intangible assets as far, but I have seen it in other countries where the corporation is funding for some R&D activities for the benefit of the citizens in terms of developing new types of road laying, developing some bricks they developed through R&D. All that are there. Then service concession agreements, what are they? Normally happens in PPP, service concessions. There is a term called concessionaire who gives the concession. So the government gives a land at a zero cost, and then you do something. After the complete project is over, you hand over back the land. So there is some concession that is moving on. How do you recognize that in terms of value, valuation, etc.? Again, so policies and also systems. How do you recognize that? That is what is important. And most important, first time adoption of accrual basis of standard. So accrual basis of accounting for local bodies, how are you going to do it? So opening balance sheet and related matters are discussed there. Now, very interesting challenge came when we did the opening balance sheet for the first time. Okay, first taking inventory, it took several months, inventory of assets. Then valuation, you can't use the valuation which we use for corporates. So we use what is called as the PWD norms, okay, accepted by the government. And we put our foot down on some of the items like heritage assets. You want to value Taj Mahal for several $1 million, is it? No. No. We also discussed, okay, if it is a productive assets, we will value it. Otherwise, we will, because that has to be replaced. Whereas other assets, we will take at a nominal value. Now, if you want to boost the value of organization of ULB and value it very high, value may be very scientific, but you know what is going to happen? It is going to attract the eye of wrong people. We also have, as public accountants, a responsibility towards citizens. So understand, it's not that simple thing. Doing this work is not, it's an art, it's a science, it's a beautiful field which you need to understand from your heart and brain. Okay, so we need to, so we did that long time back. Our guesstimate we did came to 20,000 or 25,000 crores in those days. I'm talking 15 years ago. I mean, the government said, how can we disclose? Today it must be 10 more. Okay, so you require some diligence in that. Then only when we discussed in the institute also how we need to do heritage assets valuation and all that, you know, whole lot of it. You guys can go through it, a lot of material available. And you can look at what other countries do. Americans have adopted a very interesting system called GASB 34, Government Accounting Standards Board, their prescription or their publication 34. It's a very, very interesting model you can go through. In fact, I personally felt that was good and we recommended that. In that, what happens? The fund of a organization, the municipality or a government is divided into 3 categories. First category is called as governmental funds. Second category is called as commercial business, whatever you call funds. Third one is called as fiduciary funds. So every transaction has to be classified. Every transaction has to be classified as one among these 3. So governmental funds, all the government activities, put it in governmental fund. All the commercial activities, put in the next fund. What are the commercial activities? You are renting out a building and you are paying GST today. Yes. All these institutions pay GST. They earn several crores, they pay GST. Right? So that is your commercial funds. And the third one is fiduciary fund. What is it? Government of India gives you some money and say do AIDS prevention program, you do. So you are holding that money as an agent for somebody else. So you divide your fund into 3. In that agency fund, it's only receipt and payment because you are not doing anything. Taking that fund, using it. Matter over. In the governmental fund, you do all the thing, but your assets will not be depreciated. Hybrid. Assets will not be depreciated. In the commercial fund, assets will be depreciated because you have to replace them. Here you are replacing. You may replace it either through your tax collection or through government giving funds. So that is an objective way of analyzing. So for this, they don't have depreciation, but you will have to disclose the asset value and you should support it by asset register. The whole internal control system is there. ICS is there supporting. Commercial fund will be there. In fact, now in some countries they are discussing whether that commercial funds they have to charge income tax. Why? You are like any other fellow doing business. Rented property, you are doing your rent. We are collecting GST, collecting income tax also. These are matters of policy debate, which is where you and I should be, our profession should be there, not accept what somebody is telling. We should generate policies, right? So therefore, that is the American system called fund-based accounting. We introduced in one of the municipalities, and we were able to analyze. But then when it came to the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Institute took a different view. He said, all the three funds you are having different accounting policies, that is not okay. The Institute took that approach, which is okay, fine, fair enough. Why? That is how in India we want to make it. Fine, fair enough. So now we have come to this. Now here also I want to give you a nuance. The corporations do follow fund accounting, not fund-based accounting. Fund-based accounting, FBAS, we will use it for GASB, American system. In America, most of the municipalities run on GASB 34. Many of the universities run on GASB 34 because socio-economic evaluation can be beautifully done by this GASB 34 prescription. That's why I got fascinated with it. Netherlands, part of Netherlands is following GASB on the same principles. Then we told the institute, hey, we can modify GASB to our requirements. But then I think institute thought it right because it's so huge. In so many organizations we have to introduce. It will be very difficult. Even accrual accounting is becoming difficult for these institutions. You want to put this also on its head. Not possible. Okay, fine. But as chartered accountants, we should understand such things happening. And accordingly, there's a huge research going on how to analyze GASB 34 financial statements, because each one is a different accounting policy. So when I went to the US, I discussed with somebody who's in this field. It's fascinating. Very, very interesting things are happening. Now, I'll complete that point. When you do first adoption, all the assets be known? No, it will not be known. 2 years after the adoption or creating of the opening balance sheet, we had somebody coming. Sir, this property actually belongs to the corporation. That has been taken over by those fellows. So it'll be interesting to find 3 types of properties, at least 3 types. 1, the property which belongs to corporation and is known to the corporation and there is some record. Second, belongs to the corporation, there is no record. Okay. Third, corporation doesn't know it belongs to, but actually it belongs to and there is no record. Fourth one, belongs to the corporation, it doesn't know, but there is record. So you'll have some interesting. So it is not going to be even the smallest of urban local body, it is not going to be 1 year, much more it is going to take. So what has happened is, what we normally do is, we create an opening balance adjustment account, keep it open for 3 years or 2 years, depending on the complexities, and then close it. All this should be put in the policy. This is a practice note. We have gained the wisdom over a period of time, and we have seen practices happening in other parts of the world. So we are able to find out a solution. So for most of these we have, but we are yet to, that's why I said we are yet to implement. When we so wherever we have experience, I'm touching upon them. Where we don't have experience, we have to see. We have to see. I've also seen some financial statements which have been where the auditors have used these 2 standards in some of the states. So And in these two standards, there'll be reasonable compliance. You need not worry. Borrowing cost, they might have missed something, but they're very meticulous about it because that institution which has lent them will not keep quiet. So the data will be available, the disclosure could be not okay. That's all. Okay, fine. Then separate finance, all this if you see most of it in phase 3. Separate financial statement in case they have JV, blah, blah. And they need some maturity. They need to have people locally. You know what Western countries have done? They've created, now I wanted to, before I miss, how many of you realized that in government service, you have medical service, all doctors join government. If they want, it's huge. In every state, there'll be at least 5 to 10,000 government doctors employed, larger states, or even more. Legal service, they have. Engineering service, the entire public work department throughout India, including railways, blah, blah, blah. Is there an accounting service? Do they take accountants? BCom, pass, CA? Why? Because the Britishers did not want anybody who knew accounting into the system. Still, we are meticulously following. Most of the states in India, there is no accounting cadre. What is the cadre? Cadre is you have to recruit for accounting positions only a qualified BCom or whatever. And you know these corporations, they have thousands of crores money handling. Chartered accountant. Now slowly it has started. Now slowly they have started recruiting. In CGA office, I found few chartered accountants and cost accountants. They are slowly getting into the service there, but in local bodies. But there will be a time very soon when they need our service inside also. I'll tell you what is the reason for that. In the West, what they have done, they have introduced a separate thing. They introduced a concept called city managers. City managers, I met 2 of qualified city managers in California. And these city managers, they have an MBA city management. Okay? They could be engineers, they could be accountants, whatever. But for MBA, they come and do it. They do an MBA in this because they have to handle so much of funds. They have to handle so much of institutions. They have to handle so much of public-private partnerships. So many things are there. And these guys are very, very smart guys, you know, and they get market pay. See, pay is not a problem. Pay is not a problem. They'll pay. So please understand this. So separate financial statements. And of course, as followed, consolidated finance. When you have separate financial statement, you must have consolidation. All that is not there now. So phase 3, investment association joint venture, it could be in phase 2, phase 1 also, in case the organization has got JV, in which many cases it is there. Right? There is something called joint arrangement where there is no investments, but they have some loose joint arrangements with other institutions working together. So there also it takes some time. Then disclosure of interest in other entities in case of joint arrangements. So it's all 37, 38, all related. Employee benefits, they can come even in 1 or 2. And entity combination, yes, this is possible. Assuming that all the ULBs implement accounting standards. Now what happens? You have municipalities, municipal bodies, municipalities, 2 municipalities come together and their size is a corporation, so it becomes a combination. We can combine like that, and we don't know. You know what happened? Chennai, some years ago, 42 local bodies, of which I think 35 were urban and 6 or 7 were rural. 42 urban local bodies 42 local bodies combined with Chennai Corporation. And the number of wards increased from 150 to 200, whatever. It became Greater Chennai Corporation after that. Example. But please understand the subtleties. When you are a municipality in a semi sort of a urban, you are an urban but not city, you are not a corporation yet, you are only a municipality. You handle both the work of corporation and you also handle water supply. But when you come into a city, water board, water authority, TWAD board, Tamil Nadu Water and Drainage Board separately. So what they had to do? The accounts of the 42 local bodies had to be cut open. Water supply part should join TWAD. Non-water supply part should join Municipal Court, Chennai Municipal Court. What a task it would have been. I am telling this because the water supply part cutting from 42 merging into the metro water or the TWAD, we did. I was part of, my organization did, and we did it. It is a humongous task where you have to be thorough with basics. That's what it is. And of course, TWAD is subject to CA audit. Chartered accountants only audit the board. So this combination we did, and then it was certified by chartered accountants, where we had to follow so many things. These are all experiences. And I'm now moving from this to something very interesting. What are all the key issues in implementing these standards? So now you see standards is one, but that is not the issue. The issue is how we are going to implement, because it's a huge, it is going to happen whether you want it or not. And at that time, imagine what is the requirement. Key issues. Most important, lack of capacity and resources within the governmental system. So lack of trained personnel to implement, results in inaccurate or incomplete financial reporting, which is not going to be accepted, may impact the ability to make informed financial decisions. Now these accountants, your role as accountant is all gone. Today, it is based on financial statements only. Am I getting my financial statement right? For that, do I have accounting system? It is not I have accounting system and I produce financial statement. No. I need financial data for decision making. Am I getting it through a reliable system? That's what it is. Whether you go to corporates or you go to government. Why? Governance is more important. For that, am I getting the data? Nobody is going to ask you whether you have followed standard 22. No. Am I getting my data? And as a professional, can I assure that the data I get is right? That's what the question is. Now, we accountants need to twist, change, flip ourselves to that and not start looking at this. This is required. But unless it is going to serve the purpose, we will not be wanted. Please remember that. So we need to put the right people and train people. So there's a huge practice area, note down, of training. Second, complexity of ASLB is an issue. Accrual itself, they are finding right now as we are talking, we are converting from cash basis to accrualating of a government organization. All the employees know cash basis of accounting so well. But for them to get into accrual, they think it is a sin. Sir, income not received, sir. How to account, sir? What, sir? That's not correct. When you receive, is there a check? What? How can we account without check? How with the invoice we can account? How with this we will account, sir? No. How are you going to convince him? Right? So local government may find it difficult to understand it. 100% right. I myself, we don't understand. So many years we are in. Lot of complications. May result in error or misrepresentation. That should not happen. May impact the accuracy and reliability of financial statements if wrongly interpreted. So we have been telling that we need to come with, for each of the ASLB, a checklist for the ULB, a checklist for the auditors. Getting it? Think about it. Look at the type of work that is pending. Then it is very important, as I told you in the beginning, we are moving out from an era of shareholder to the stakeholder. We are moving from era of financial reporting to integrated reporting. Therefore, if the local governments do not effectively engage the stakeholders, they are likely to have issues. Sir, why are we bothered about stakeholder issues? We are bothered about accounting. My dear friend, that is our problem. You should not know. Ultimately, the organization has to be there. They need to take into account everything. Is the process, accounting process you give, if they want to bring in stakeholders' requirements, will it take care? That is the question. In that corporation, there is a land behind. There are 150 mango trees. Are you accounting? Are you valuing it? Are you accounting it? Are we accounting on environment? You can no more joke with environment, right? The environment sent us inside house for 18 months. We thought only surgeons used to wear this mask. Now we are wearing. Completely changed. So, climate finance. Climate finance is one area which is a huge area for accountants. All these are related. So, therefore, where the more and more of stakeholder engagement is more, is the accounting information satisfying those requirements? Think. So, therefore, ultimately, it has to impact the public trust. Oh, this organization is able to create a financial report that is easy, understandable. We know where our money is, how it is being spent. That is what a common man wants to understand. Why are you making this accounting statement so complicated that if 2 years you are not continuously watching, you don't know what it is? Any complicated document you produce is a confirmation of our inefficiency. It should be as simple as possible, right? Think about it. Limited enforcement mechanisms. So compliance can be an issue. How do you do that? Even now, a lot of compliance is not taking place. So that's the reason why government is fixing a lot of it with the help of professionals like us, right? So ultimately, what are we talking? We are talking transparency, which will bring accountability. Transparency is sharing of data. Accountability is ability to account. So unless they have the ability to account, they can't be transparent. So these two are two sides of the same coin. And in both the areas, we as accountants play a major role. Right? These are all some of the key issues. There are several. Now, how do you mitigate these strategies? Lack of capacity resource. Local government invest in building capacity. So when they invest in capacity building, who have to do capacity building in accounting? You and I. If the chartered accountants don't take this up, it will be taken over by retired teachers from colleges, which has already happened in several places. Whether the ULBs are getting the best, I don't know. But already chartered accountants are losing there. Why? He does not think that it is his capacity to train. That's the problem. Okay? Can involve a combination of providing training, engaging professionals, recruiting experienced personnel, leveraging technology to simplify financial reporting process. So we went to one of the smaller ULBs. So they asked us, sir, we don't want to train them in all those things. Do you have a software which will do? We'll train them in software. Why should they know what is happening? Good question. Should he know accounting standards? Should he know that? No. You just enter here, automatically it goes. Why you worry? People have started thinking, and in a lot of places, it has started getting automated. The whole thing is getting automated with people paying from home. Whole thing, the entry is passed. The revenue entry is automatically passed. So think about it. That is where the designing of that is our role. Second, complexity, local work with ICAI to advocate. This is already ICAI started doing. That's why I am also talking to you. We are also talking to different governments in this regard. And the benefit will accrue to the members only. This is another area. So providing implementation checklists and using ICAI members in the implementation can demystify the seemingly complex ASLPs. So we are there to play the role as a part of national builders, right? Inclusive development, limited stakeholder engagement. Again, local governments need to engage extensively with stakeholders. Anything related to accounting, audit, and related technology, it is CAs. You should not think what work I will get. You should think what I can add value, you will get work. Limited enforcement mechanism, this has to be taken up by the government. This is being discussed now. So if we come up with some innovative solution, which is going to reduce the time and increasing the accuracy, please be sure the governments will agree. There's no problem at all. We have to go with innovative solution with commanding capacity. Then it works. So please take that into account. Right. What has happened so far? So I'm trying to give you the complete, that's why I told you, I'm telling you a story of the whole thing and what is our part. Undertaking enormous efforts to develop the standards, 31 standards, yet to be mandated, repetition, sorry for that. Approach to adopting phases needs to be understood. So I told you in 3 phases, you might have understood, but when you go deeper into it, not that that is again cut in stone, you can change it depending on the situation, but minimum basic standards, if we can't say we are implementing standards, but if we can embed that in the process so that minimum quality of accounts can be produced. Specific strategies to handle key issues highlighted need to be formulated. So each and every case, how you have to do, you have to think. This presentation itself is a checklist for you. Scope for accountants. So we saw the ramifications of the whole thing. With regard to accounting standards, I repeat, implementation of accounting standards. 2, training in the standards. And 3, audit. As of today, these 3 are there. Whenever you are introducing accounting system itself, you are implementing accounting standards indirectly. You need not tell them, but you take that line. That will be useful for you. Second, with regard to accounting, audit, and consulting, huge opportunities at individual consultants. I don't know whether you know that organizations like World Bank, ADB, recently I met somebody, few chartered accountants in Nagaland. They are from different parts of India. They're all chartered accountants in the age group of 35 to 35 plus. And they registered themselves in the consultant management system of ADB. So go to, in fact, I remember 1 or 2 years back, Institute had a session with specialists from ADBs and said how you can register yourself. Please register yourself. There are quite a few calls in India. Similarly, other institutions like the World Bank. So you will find that you may be in semi-rural areas also. Don't worry, you have opportunity there. So huge opportunities are coming to individual consultants. The next thing is very important is you please associate yourself with large organizations. Lot of organizations come to us, much larger organization. They come to us and say, hey, Murli, you guys have this expertise, we have this, let's come together. Yeah, no problem. Like that, lot of large organizations are looking out for CAs, either in practice or otherwise, for a project engagement. Please go. Once you start looking out, you will know. You start looking out for that. Huge opportunities available. And several times we find that when we want the right type of chartered accountants, we don't get for some of the work. Of course, the usual practicing chartered accountants have issues. Sir, now only we have bank audit, sir. Now only we have this. All that will be there. But in your off time, you can learn up skills and set up a set of guys who will be youngsters are willing. And my dear friends, nothing in this will work without understanding of technology. If you are going to give them an accounting manual which does not take into account technology, if you are going to train them without that, not going to happen. Even the states which have progressed, where they have introduced uniform accounting system across the state, there is an audit module which is automated. Whether it implemented properly or not, highly questionable, but things are there. If it has not happened today, it is in the process of happening. It's a governmental system. It takes time. So many people have to be, trained and fine-tuned and, all that. So these are all my simple tips. You can work for larger organization. Please look out for. You can even send your CV or your interest to our institute committee. Do the program. You'll get, when you do this certification in PFM, and you tell any of the activities I'm willing to involve, there'll be huge opportunities for you. So ICAI resources. Very recently, the institute did a major study for Niti Aayog, which is in the process right now, started implementation. Models and learnings for urban local bodies. So this was prepared. Of course, I headed the whole study from ICAI and ARF side. And in January, this report was released. You can use this link and go there and download this report. It's about 200 odd page report. We present here a lot of case studies, different states. I think 8 states we presented, and we have also shared some international experiences, all that. And extremely, they appreciated ICAI for this report, because for the first time in relation to accounting, there is a field report, which not only tells the field reality, but has given concrete suggestions as to what has to be done. This one has got a checklist, which you guys can use, which can be used at the state level and ULB level for implementation of accrual account. There's one more here, role of professionals in public financial management. I think last year I wrote this for the institute. I have put it in a very different format, not like the usual thing. It is a dialogue between a senior CA and a junior CA, the entire publication, some 20 or 30 pages. So it is on public financial management systems and how chartered accountants can upgrade themselves. So it is like a question, question and answer, like how Nachiket asked, like that. This youngster who wants to fight with his senior And we go to our institute, our committee website. It has got all this. Anyway, some of these, it's not a full list. Even the one commonly used term in public finance and government accounting, it's a beautiful publication. Lot of things you'll get to know. Okay, so please go through all these resources. There is another very interesting resource of which I'll show you a snapshot. I want you to I told a different name. It's not ORG, it is IN. cityfinance.in. Go to the dashboard. I think from the time I took the screenshot, it would have changed now. I thought I will show online, but sometimes, if the web is not okay. And in that Niti Aayog report, we have given a 18 months timeline for an average, ULB to implement accrual based financial statements. So in this lot of respective places, the accounting standard will come, but more importantly, municipal accounting manual in place. Then you bring the right from day one IT solution. Who will decide on the IT solution? The guy who does the municipal accounting manual, you and I. If you don't know about IT solution, it's not income tax, information technology. What is the software to be used, blah, blah, blah. If you do not know, it means that there is a gap in your understanding. You have to upgrade yourself. Otherwise, not possible. If you have a phone, smartphone, you are upgrading yourself in that, please upgrade in this also. Okay. Then the solution development, testing. Who will do the testing of those software? You and I should do. We only know how output has to come. Right? Opening balance sheet preparation, again we have to do. Conceptual training in double entry, we have to do. Pilot runs and fine tuning, we have a role to play. Look at the data updation, whether the complete and correct accounting has taken place. If not, what has to be done? We need to do. Software training, you give the inputs for somebody to do the software training. Then preparation of annual financial statement for the first year, and that we will help. And then AFS audit. Sirs, every place we are there. That's what we keep on stressing. Just a snapshot from that study, just for your purpose. And some of the findings. So what we have done, and ever you are the detailed write-up. I told you, your ASLB is nothing without doing reform. When you do the reform, you incidentally introduce ASLB, though not mandatory, so that the accounting is correct. Then recommendations, we have given how the reform design and planning should be done, how reform implementation should be done, how you need to do the capacity creation, how technology could be used or should be used, right? It has to be a technology enabled reform. You cannot say, I will tell you all this, you call somebody and do. Sorry, then they will not want you. Then we have given a critical success factor checklist. Checklist 46 points for the state and 34 points for the ULB. In almost everything, we have our role to play. Then indicative project timelines, we saw that. How accrual financial, so link between accrual accounting and financial management. That also we have discussed. Overview of finance integrated municipal e-governance. That is what I started with. I showed you the diagram. That tells the complete canvas where we work, where we can work. Benefits derived by early mover states. States like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Gujarat, they're all early mover states. And there are also some failures which we have highlighted. Why they failed is important, no? As much as why it is successful. And I can tell you, success is not ultimate success, relative success, merit rating. Because the other state is not good, this state is better. There is no absolute standard with which we say it is very good. Understand? Right? Then we have given brief international case studies. Overview of statutory provisions, which is already we have done and it is there in the City Finance portal. You can go through there. What different states, what are the statutory provisions they have in their respective municipal acts with regard to accounting, with regard to accrual accounting. Does it state accrual accounting? Does it not state accrual accounting? Interestingly, Tamil Nadu is the first state to move accrual accounting. And do you know which is the first ever corporation in India to move to accrual accounting as early as 1980? Chennai Corporation. Okay, so we are given all these interesting snapshots. But the Tamil Nadu municipal account, nowhere it says you follow accrual accounting. But the manual says you follow accrual accounting. Therefore, please understand, more than let us not get carried away by law. If the law is not there, make the municipal accounting manual very strong and ask them to implement. So it's the will that is more important than what is, many people say spirit of the law. Spirit of the law is good accounting system, that's all. And the manual says it has to be accrual accounting. Go ahead, implement. So you need to understand the nuances, right? Key recommendation of Central Finance Commission and select State Finance Commission report with regard to municipal finance have also been highlighted, which means as of today, this will be a mini encyclopedia for you with regard to accrual accounting, available to you free of cost download. We have seen to it, we have written it in such a way it is not technical. We have made it as simple as possible, but I don't know, chartered account, they want a highly technical section, so and so, there, footnote, case study. Sorry, that's not there. We will fail you. It is meant a good student with 8th standard, 10th standard English, good English, they can follow. Right? Okay. Now, this is the snapshot from City Finance. One screen I have taken. So it tells you summary of key national demographics and municipal urban indicators. 3,316 ULBs with financial data uploaded. 10,372 financial statements uploaded. There are 223 ULBs credit rating reports. Why should they have credit rating? Borrowing funds. Who did credit rating? CRISIL or who it is? 95 ULBs with investment grade rating. You are AA, A plus, blah, all that. 22 ULBs with rating A and above. 41 municipal bond issuance of 5,400 odd crores. All details you'll get on place. Total tax revenue, so many thousand crores. Own revenue, so many crores. Total grant received. Total revenue, total expenditure. Total balance sheet size. My dear friends, when you generate it, it could be slightly different because it's online real time. Look at that. Last updated on 19th June 2023. Source. Provisional financial statements. Provisional also certified. Some of them audited. Most of them audited. Some of them provisional and so on depending on the years. Right? I'll show you another screenshot. So we created first data availability 43%. Last year it was somewhere around 32%. Now total availability of data 43%. Let us be very clear. This is summary. Percentage of data availability. Look at that. Southern states are better off in general. And what you can do is, like this you click for revenue, like this you click for expenditure, you'll get a pattern. You want to do for a particular in India, there is a drop down, you press it, you press this drop down, you will get the list of states. You'll press this drop down, you'll get a list of states. Immediately you press which year you want. And then you'll get all this, and it will be, or you go to this map and click, it will take you down. Sir, this is happening in India, sir. And also, madam, sorry, don't mistake. This is happening in India. You should be proud of this. We are now discussing about next level, what can be done. And until professionals like us stepped in, it was only all the analysis the economists did was based on budget. That's it. What is budget? What I want to do? What has really happened? Different. What has really happened is financial statement. So first financial statement was introduced, then audited, certified. Slowly the data quality is also increasing. Why I am saying all this? Therefore the importance of our ASLBs. And you guys need to know that these things are happening. Right? And therefore, I conclude with the same slide I started, stating that unless our core accounting is made all this. So on the left down, I have shown you City Finance portal. That's what I told you. That's what I showed you, right? So if these things are happening properly, the City Finance, you know what they are doing now? To the City Finance portal, there is an individual login for every state, and they will have to upload the financial statements then and vetted and cleared, and then only they will get the grants. So there is a separate login for 15th Finance Commission grants. They'll not get it unless they clean up. So there's a lot to clean up. They cannot clean up by themselves without the help of us. Right? So you have the City Finance portal with MOHUA and the other things as I told you, but now I'm sure you would have got a hang of it. All these areas is touched by our accounting standards. Therefore, unless that is done, all these things will not happen. And how does it go from one layer to the other? Technology. So if the benefit of whatever we are doing has to completely go into accountability and transparency domain, it has to be through technology. I hope that is conveyed properly. And I also identified some areas where you need to step up yourself. So my suggestion will be 2 or 3. A, immediately try to register for the ICAI course or IMF course whenever they announce on public financial management. Please try to get a broader outline. Look at the institute publications, particularly from this committee on various aspects. It's all available to you. Go through the Niti Aayog report, which can give you I'll tell you, it is one simple document where you'll know everything. The whole thing you can understand. And if you want, you can go through the ASLBs. Though today's topic is on the ASLB, I'm saying you may go through, because unless you have a case, it doesn't make sense. But you can, some of the interesting literature around it, you can go through and upgrade yourself in technology. You know, I don't know, some of you might have read, old people who are above 50 might have definitely read a book called The Godfather by Mario Puzo, right? You might have seen for Al Pacino's performance and this fellow's performance, you would have seen Marlon Brando's performance. But in the original book, Godfather, you know, he says an advocate with a briefcase can kill more than 100 people with rifles. You know, a chartered accountant with information technology knowledge can completely remove almost all the professionals, of course, except for doctors. You know, that is what it is. Accountants with technology are going to be the rulers. Please understand that. Let me conclude in summary. So these reforms, which are 2 years old, enough experience has been gained across the states. Both national and state levels, the importance has been recognized extremely well. When you deal with the government, we know this particular area, how they have come to realize not only the importance of this. We get phone calls where some of these secretaries say, we want this dashboard, is that possible, from these ULBs and all that. But so much work has to be done. ICAI has issued enough guidelines, and ASLB is one aspect in this regard. So that's important. And members should make full use of this available knowledge repository. Please, some of you might have come to this session thinking that somebody is going to talk expertly on the accounting standards. We'll compare it with the corporate standards and all that. If I have failed you, extremely sorry. But I thought this is my responsibility as a member and as a person who has been involved with our institute, particularly in this area last almost 20 years, and in this field for over 30 years. I think I should, I took upon this as my responsibility to make this topic as simple and as useful as possible. Hopefully that has been achieved. If there are any questions which are not challenging, I'll definitely address. Please. I hand it over back to Ram. Yes?
Sir, is it audible, sir?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our RS Murali, sir, for making excellent presentation and making this session interesting and meaningful. And thank you for accepting our invitation for today's session, sir. And thank you for Chairman Panaraj, sir, for joining with us today. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, sir. Thank you. You need to unmute, sir.
Sir, thank you, sir. Excellent presentation, and you covered 360-degree, even including the suggestions to the members.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I felt that it should be done.
Yes, and repository of the institute, everything you have covered. Now it is in the hands of the members to make use of it.
Absolutely.
And keep themselves ready to act upon whenever there is a chance. Right, sir. Thank you, sir. Is it
Thank
over?
you.
No, queries are not there, no, sir.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mr. Rahman,
I think
Sir?
he closed. He already closed the session.
So as of now, there is no questions from members, sir.
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all for making this program.